build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance. Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty.
Good morning, I'm Colin.
How you doing, Colin?
Aye, not bad. This is the earliest is this the earliest we've ever recorded?
I think so. Not kicking ours off it. If it's not, it won't be nearly, because it's just it's 10 because we played for a wee while. I think if we'd started when we signed in, it would have been the earliest, but I think we might have done an earlier one than this. And
I was going to say, when I was in between jobs, mind, we were doing them in work hours like it was our job.
This is episode 199, Colin. Who would have thought that we would have reached this level?
I still remember listening to episode 1 when I was on my holiday. It was just you sitting talking into the microphone. It was like an episode of Hibs, your Twitter thing, Twitter Spaces, when nobody can get dialed on.
When
it was like the original one of them.
It was like a TED talk. So it was like,
aye. Well, let's go with that. I think TED talks are maybe informative, aren't they?
That was informative. It's deleted now. It doesn't exist. I don't think I've even got the recording of it. Nah.
No, it's a shame.
It's funny, totally different now, obviously. I'm glad we started it though. Like it's been good fun. Good fun doing it.
Take the credit for that. I didn't get involved till about episode 90 something. Just a listener for the first year and a half, whatever it was. It was lockdown, accidental lockdown. Getting bored in lockdown. that was how I got involved. It was quick bang, wasn't it? It was quick bang.
Right enough. And here we are today. So we're hoping to do something special for episode 200 next week. Stuff still to be confirmed and some messages to be sent on that, but hopefully we'll mark it with something decent. Hopefully Hibs win as well. So we had a Hibs win yesterday, Colin. Now, let's start with our day, because we met early yesterday. We had an invitation from Greg at Whisky Row to join him in the Pioneers yesterday, which obviously we accepted because, we're nothing if not freeloaders, Colin.
Correct, absolutely. I'm proud of it.
I'm proud of it. So we met, we nipped into the Mash Tun for a quick Guinness, just at 12 o'clock.
Head down the slopes table.
We clocked it down the slope, had a table booked in the Mash Tun, so we sat there for a wee bit.
Got territory.
Got a wee photo.
On the seats.
Obviously then left everything exactly as we found it, because we wouldn't want to disrupt their day. Not before taking a photo and sending it to them. And then we were along Easter Road, we met Greg and we met Sam from Football Adventures on YouTube, and we thoroughly recommend you go and have a look at his YouTube channel. If you know already, he's got significantly more subscribers on his YouTube channel than we have, so I feel like it's a bit like pissing in the ocean at us promoting it. Like
absolutely.
It's like, he's going to go check him out. Sam, but
Sam, if you're listening, you promote us.
Please. I've watched the video that he's put out for yesterday as well. It was cracking. We're in it for a wee bit as well, if anybody's interested. Sometimes just their voices, if you hear us in the background, but we do feature on camera momentarily as well. But cracking lad, Sam, he'd been at the Arbroath game the night before. I think he's away to Tyney the day to see presumably Celtic win the league. What did you make of the Pioneers, Colin, the experience?
No, it's good. It's really good. I mean, that's just done 2 of them now. They're not freeloading on both, but we've done the Tornadoes and the Pioneers now in a couple of months, and they're both. It's really good. Obviously that one's got the inclusive drinks package, so it is better on the wallet, as you know. I really enjoyed it. The only thing I don't know what you think about this. You almost missed it. Like the football becomes like a distraction or a side,
like a secondary part. Yeah.
Aye. Whereas, like, I go to the football, and that's what it's all about. Like, that's all you turn up, watch the game, you go home. Like, I didn't often go for pints before or after because I drive and I've got my daughter with me and that as well. But the twice I've been to hospitality, the football's just became like almost come home and think, what happened in the game again?
What happened in the
Like,
game?
and I do remember because I did watch it and I wasn't pissed, but it did feel like just a thing I had to do because
Like a
because
side,
I was
like
going to do it.
a sideshow interrupting the drinking and eating.
So I don't know. Greg obviously does it every week, and he's a big Hibs fan. He's got season tickets still, even though he's got that with his work. But I wonder, I never asked him because I never really thought about it till later. But actually, I wonder how he thinks about going and doing that every week because to me, it feels like you're missing it in the football almost to some extent. You're there and watching it, but it didn't feel the same.
Do you know probably what makes the difference is the fact, like, see, when you go to the game, right, it's very rare, I think, for both of us that we would turn up at 2 minutes to 3, and you're just in, and then at half time you're away out your seat, and then you come back just before half time kicks off. Do you know what I mean? Like, so normally I'm in dead early, and you watch the warm ups and that. You would have seen McCurdy having a fight with a supporter, kind of thing like that. You would have witnessed it firsthand, but we missed all of that yesterday because you're in. And even when we did the Tornadoes one, we missed Hoppy's goal right after the half time because the game had kicked off. We were still sitting having a cup of coffee. So I suppose that's different about it. But I thought it was terrific. The food was lovely.
Oh, absolutely. Service is brilliant.
Service was really good. And I'm not a whiskey drinker, right? Because Whisky Row had invited us, Greg from Whisky Row, I'd asked him. I said, like, if you're a beginner, what would you have? And he'd recommend one of the Whisky Row whiskies with ginger beer. And
smooth and savoury or something. Smooth and silky or something.
Smooth and silky, I think. Yeah, it was delicious. Like, I ended up thinking 3 or 4 of them. I had for a non-whiskey drinker. I think he said they were 38% each. So. It's nearly 160%, I reckon, by my calculations, if I've had 4 of them. Which I'm amazed I wasn't falling over after that. I coped with it. But I would definitely have that again. It was, and I don't say that because they invited us, and this isn't like a wee sweetener for us going. He told us we didn't have to mention anything the day. Like, there was no conditions, no strings attached to the invitation. But I would 100% have that again to drink. It was lovely. It was great experience. Ben, I'm sure folk aren't really that interested, but I would say well done to Hibs for it as well. Like, it was like their hospitality offering that. Like you say, that's been to 2 of them now, and both times I've come away thinking I would definitely recommend that. Like, and I genuinely would. The game itself, Colin, we lined up no changes in the team, but we had Rocky back in the squad.
On the bench,
good news,
Yeah, it was good to see him back. I don't think he's going to get many minutes unless injury now before the end of the season. But it's just good that he'll get a full pre-season and that, I suppose now. Sunday real surprises in the lineup was I think the bench there was no laddies on it again. Just pointing that out again. Like, even Del Ferrier was on the bench last week. And he obviously got binned for Rocky this week. So just like, what's happening with that? Like, why we're not getting these laddies like minutes if we can, or even the experience yet?
I think it's because they've not signed on with contracts yet.
Is none of them signed though? Like McIntyre and that signed,
I don't know. But like the obvious ones, the 2 that everybody talks about, O'Connor and Laidlaw, I don't think there's been any news on them signing. And I wonder if that's just them going, because it's not like they're needed for the development team. The development team, can they win the league? Like, there's nothing to play for them now. So why not try and get them minutes?
I think that's exactly why, for the ones that haven't signed. But then why not put the ones that have signed in? And then that might encourage the ones that haven't signed to sign as well. Because
I think we can a wee bit.
But unless you just think they're good enough, but then why would we try to sign them then?
Well, that's it. I mean, if they're not good enough, then you'd expect them just to be released. But I mean, the feedback you can, I have to admit to not having watched loads of them, but the feedback you get for them and what people are saying, there's a bit of hype around them, and you would think Hibs should be trying to sign them. But if they're not trusted, then now what's to say that would change next season? They're still young. Do you know, like, we could put them out on loan, like all that kind of thing. Like, if they're not quite ready yet, rather than seeing them go. But it definitely flies in the face of the project that Lee Johnson described in January when they were
just sounds like a soundbite.
When they were telling us why they weren't going out signing loads of players for the squad, it was like that, but you get players out. But actually, the reason we're getting players out was to clear a pathway for the young players. Well, what's happened to that? What's happened to it? Anyway, right, we started really well. I mean, for the first half was terrific.
Yeah, I played some good stuff. So it was early goal, wasn't it? It was 3 or 4 minutes, first goal. Just a big fuck up for their defender, but Ewan finished it really well. Put pressure on the boy and ran through. Really good finish, but what was the defender doing? You seen it back?
Aye, so it was just comes from a throw in. What's interesting, if you see Ewan's starting position, when that throw in comes in, so I think Ewan's inside, just at the edge of the centre circle, an hour half. And the ground he makes up on the boy, because he pounces on the mistake. The guy just takes like a bad touch, kind of lets it bounce across him, and then
the guy lets it run across him, and then he swings his left foot at it when it's clearly take it with your right. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you'd be going mad if that was Hanlon or Fish, or I would. I'd be going, what the fuck? Wrong foot, wrong body shape. What the fuck's he doing? I watched Sports Scene this morning just to refresh my memory, like I was talking about earlier, and Foster was saying, like, even obviously the defender's mainly at fault, but even the throwing, why are you throwing it there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can throw it that far, chuck it up the pitch rather than chucking it into the centre of the park to put the defender under pressure. But the defender should then deal with it, but then the throwing.
See, if it had been us, like you say, like if the defender deals with it, you're no questioning the throw-in, because I mean the defender should have got time because of you in starting position. If he takes a decent touch, defender deals with that, no bother. But I'll give you all the credit really just for kind of sniffing the chance.
And then it was good,
and then taking it.
It was a lovely finish as well, because he's one of the guys. I've spoke about it. I like his straight and all that, but I've never felt confident in one-on-one. But then, I mean, he's finished a few good ones one-on-one this year, so maybe I'm wrong, because it was a good finish yesterday.
I fancied him to score when he was going through. I was like, it was maybe having seen him do it against Livingston gave me a wee bit kind of confidence that he was going to tuck it away. And it was a nice finish, like just kind of clipped inside of the post on the way in, just right in the corner. So that was good. That gave the place a good lift as well. You know, like if you get off to a good start in the game, it's one of these ones. If it had gone 0-0 for maybe half an hour, and folks start to get a bit nippy about it, don't they? But to get an early goal just meant that's good. Put St Mirren on the back foot a bit as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the order of events. You've seen the highlights more recently. I think it was 1-0 still when Cadden misses the chance.
I don't know, but let's talk about that anyway. I can't remember if that was before or after, because it was quite close together. The one when it's come across him and he's swung.
So Nisbet again comes for forwards pressing. So Nisbet closes down the centre half who's trying to play a pass out, blocks the pass and breaks way down the right. Puts a lovely ball.
Makes a good run. Yeah,
he does.
He made a good run and he's covered in the middle, and then it's just a really good finish. Yeah? Like to miss it altogether like that. He just looked awkward.
It's like he took his eye off the ball.
I was thinking, has he went with his wrong foot? Like, should have went with it? He definitely should have went with his right foot. And I think he was just trying to sweep it into the bottom corner like where Johan scored, but just like complete miss it. But yeah, I thought Cadden had a good game yesterday. He was up and down, he gets about the park, So we never really said as much about Johan either. I thought Johan was really good yesterday. Maybe unlucky not to be man of the match, but because he was getting back and winning the ball a couple of times defensively in that as well, which is where I've went.
Yeah,
he can run fast going that way, but he doesn't like running fast the other way. But yesterday he did. So
I think Lee Johnson described him as a ball thief. He says, I think that's the term. Usually, kind of Lee Johnson's got a name for pretty much everything when he's talking about it. This is they call that being the ball thief, where you kind of run for behind the defender.
Who does?
Lee Johnson does.
All right. That's what he said. That's what Lee Johnson says. They call it that.
I think he said we call it actually. We call it the ball thief. And you added that a few times where it kind of came in on the blind side of the defender and just took the ball off them. Really,
I had a good game.
So Cad missed that, and it felt you and actually the back post, but I don't think he's ever really scored for it. Kind of just passed it back to the keeper more or less. And then Campbell had a chance. So again, it was. I think Cadden coming down the right this time gets to the byline, pulls it back. Now, I watched this back, right, and I was having a wee chat before on Twitter on it. It's a penalty. Campbell gets absolutely cleaned out. He plays it. Campbell takes a shot and gets cleaned out. I can't even taking that back. Anybody else on the pitch? It's not even a questionable foul. You'd go, free kick. Nobody would bat an eyelid at it getting.
I mean, thinking that at the time. That wasn't in Sports Scene. They never showed it.
I don't know. It was on the Sky highlights.
But I remember it at the time, but then I thought maybe Campbell skied it before the guy maybe clattered into him. And did he clatter into him, or was he just diving in for the block?
Oh no, he wipes him out. He wipes him out.
I'm not sure about that. I did think I did shout. I think at the time, think it was a penalty, but then the ball might have even been to play by the time the guy landed at him. So then, can you get a penalty when the ball's to play? Because he's absolutely nailed it over the bar, eh? Like it's a pretty poor attempt at a finish.
Aye. So I'm interested in the rule there. I'm not sure because
if the ball's to play, you didn't get a penalty, do you?
Aye, but you see, like a free kick, see if it is like a foul on the touchline, and somebody's going to they play the ball and they get wiped out, and the ball crosses the line for a throw in. The referee will get a free kick on the touchline for the foul.
Who knows? Who knows? I'm not sure. It could have been. I did think it at the time, but I think I'd need to properly see it back. But
I'm adding it to the list.
Nobody really complained, did they?
Nah, but I think it's one of these because we won and we played well in that first half. And there was loads of other chances, but
was anybody complaining?
I don't know. Campbell had to be. What the fuck?
But he's taking attention away for that finish.
I suppose. I don't know whether Lee Johnson, because Lee Johnson was in the fourth official's ear the whole game anyway, so you wouldn't know whether he was calling that one out specifically.
Just like it's a chat, Lee, yeah. He's got so many words to say. He needs to get them out. And the fourth official's going, Danny.
If you him and Jamie McAllister, it's like Stevie Robinson, who you would imagine would be at the referee quite a lot as well. Couldn't get near him. Could not get near him.
By the way, I think that Campbell chance was after the second goal. Because Campbell came on for Doyle Hayes, who's had a decent game.
Enough, I would have been after the second goal. The second goal, again, poor defending for St Mirren, but good attacking play for Fisher, aggressive.
Have you seen that back?
Aye.
Have you seen that back? Aye. What's the striker, Main, what's he doing? He jumps over the ball. And he's standing in the penalty spot, he's got nobody near him, he skips over it.
Does he?
Aye. And then Fisher's just standing there, he hardly even jumped. And that's what I was going to say, actually, that's come back to me. The commentator on Sportscene had a pre-prepared line for Will Fish.
Which was?
He couldn't really use it, so he had to squeeze it in. So because Fish, lucky if he jumped 2 inches off the ground for it, because the ball was just at the head height, sort of thing. He says and then he's jumped there hardly anything like a salmon. You've had this fuck, he's not going to score again. I'm not going to be able to say leap like a salmon. So I'll squeeze it in now. Hardly anything like a salmon. Amazing. Well done, Mr. BBC.
Awful. That happened. Obviously, you mentioned Jake Doyle Hayes going off, so it was like a head knock, and he was down for a wee bit long enough for me to leave my seat, go in for a pee, come back out, and no miss any action at all.
No, but you know what you did miss, and which I thought about after. So Doyle Hayes come off with his cut head, and obviously a banging head because it's a heavy head knock. Our boy just played on, what's football about? Like, it's a heavy knock, and he just got up and went, I'm all right. He's got to go and get checked. I think that's shocking.
We spoke about that before.
They do not care about head knocks. Good for Hibs getting him off to get him assessed, because it was a cut, but they could have patched that up and stuck a bit of Vaseline on it or a bandage on it or whatever, and they could have played on. But when you smash your head that heavy, you need to go and you should go and get checked. It's pretty poor for St Mirren there.
Aye, it was.
That's the best player though, so you can understand it.
That's why they've done it. Doyle Hayes has been having a good game as well. Do you know, like it was unlucky that we lost him when we did, because he was playing well. I thought we lost a wee bit with Campbell coming on. I think Campbell's been good this season, but I think he's struggled for form last few games he's played.
That's why he's been at the team, eh?
Yeah. Right, second half, different story. Like, I thought we would totally dominated first half. Second half, different story. St Mirren were really pushing us. And I don't know if it was just a case of St Mirren getting their act together because they were pretty poor in the first half, or if we went, let's just make sure we didn't lose.
Aye, we did. It was almost like we went in at half time and thought, that's the game done. I think we had the chance early on. Nice bit of play for Nisbet, sort of in his own half or on the halfway line, and then he went in. It was at Cadden, I think, that played the ball across, and Nisbet just smashed it over the bar.
Should have buried that. The game would have been dead then. Aye.
But that was a nice bit of play. But I've watched that back as well, and it is a real poor finish. But he's actually smiling about it after it, because I think they've clearly, I'm taking for that. they've totally relaxed and thought the game's done. Like I'm even smiling that I've just missed a fucking absolute sitter for his play to his standard.
Aye.
Like well, these players really should probably get that on target. So I think they've maybe just switched off a wee bit and relaxed rather than try to sit in.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they become a bit complacent. And St Mirren on their bad side.
No, and we were quite lucky because Curtis Main missed a sitter. Really, like he sort of sclaffed it really, and he just bounced into Marshall's arms. But he should have been tucking that away.
Over the bar in the first half as well. It wasn't far away. Like, nobody really panicked that much, but I mean, we had a great view of it. And I was like, I thought it was scary. I thought it was maybe going to dip. And at the time, and you see it back, it's really not that far over.
Yeah.
So they had a couple of chances, like they did, but
I thought
they had chances in the one for their goal because their goal was fucking terrible.
I was come out now, punting up the park for the goalie, wasn't it? And I'm not sure who challenged for the first header, whether it was Hanlon or Fish. Hanlon. Doesn't really get near it.
There's nobody sweeping round either. None of the defenders are sweeping round. So I guess I've never been a centre half. But I would have thought if one of you are going up challenging, the other one sits and looks for any second ball.
Yeah.
And they were obviously in a line. Hanlon's went up and Fish has been caught out. None of the fullbacks ripped round the back. Marshall came out. But I thought his attempt was a bit, and I didn't want to look. I'm slagging him off all the time. I'm not just like trying to blame Marshall for all the goals but like he is your last line of defence, and it was too easy. Like he just knocked it through his legs, a boy. And you're out there like making yourself big, but he's almost made it easier for the guy with the way his stance is. Like he's star jump stuff, and the guy just rolled it through his legs, and Marshall kind of get down quick enough to stop it. But it's not just Marshall's fault, you know what I mean? It's just route one bang.
It's poor goal to lose, really, isn't it? Like you really want if you're going to concede a goal, you want your opponent to have to work for it, and that they didn't really have to challenge for a header and then run through and score.
Just a 1980s sort of style goal, eh? Bang, header, knock it past the keeper or through the keeper. Really basic goal.
And it meant that the rest of the game was a bit more nervous than it needed to be, a bit more nervy. Although it flew in. I don't know if it was the drink or that, but I went looking at the clock going, fucking, I was like 7 minutes left. I was like that second half just went by like in a flash, really.
Aye. It was, what about the boy, the St Mirren fan that was sitting, 6 seats away from us? He liked that goal, eh? And I was thinking, I think I said to you at the time, I think I'd be brave enough to celebrate like that.
No,
and I get it, he's in hospitality. Like, you can be, you can support the other team in the hospitality, but I couldn't see myself going to St Mirren's hospitality and jumping up like that when Hibs scored. Like, aye, maybe applaud it or cheer it or something, but no, like he was celebrating it like he was in the away end.
And the thing is, like I said to you, he was at punchable age, wasn't he? Like he wasn't an old man or somebody who was too young.
Early 20s.
Aye, you're like that. That's the sort of age where somebody would have no qualms about punching you.
Yeah.
And actually, he got a bit of stick for folk at the end of the game at full time. There was a few folk turning to get him a bit back. So, aye, later lad, he'd obviously had a good day.
Because the Hibs fans, and they knew that. Well, I better wait. I can't get anything else, just in case. Right, waiting on Gogic coming up and rapping an equaliser. Eh? That's what I'm
aye, keep your powder dry. No point fucking jumping the gun when you're 2-1 down. Aye, right. Well, we'll go into talking points. Well, by the way, just before we do that, Lewis Stevenson picked up a yellow card for time wasting, taking his throwing. I don't think he was. He was about to throw
it when they stopped it. So I actually played with their hands because we've got longer to waste time.
Aye, he's always slow with his throw-ins, is Lewis, right? And, outright, I have zero problem because he'd tell Marshall off for it as well. Although Marshall, right at the injury time, it was brilliant because he went and argued with the ref about something. He went shouting at him. And all he's doing is like, I'm not taking the goal kick. I'm going to come and speak to you, the referee, because I'm remonstrating with you. It's not going to look like I'm time wasting, but he just run the clock down. Which is good.
It was a funny one, the Stevenson one, because as he was about to throw it, the referee stopped it to book him, and you go, "Oh well, that's fine. We'll get longer now."
But so I've no problem with yellow. And what I'd love to see is referees booking at the first sign out and just going, just fucking clamp it. Stevenson, I think, is the only player I've seen yellow carded at Easter Road this season for time wasting.
Aye, well, I can't
Right.
remember.
And that's what pisses me off. Is like, why is it our player? Like teams do it to us all the time. When we've been behind in games and they go, it's fucking relentless. Wait.
Well, I read Johnny Boy's report in preparation here today, and as I say, try to fill in the blanks for yesterday. And he reckons that referee was the VAR at Ross County when Marshall got thrown in the net.
But Heather, is this not about the third time we've had the referee that was a VAR at Ross County?
So I'm just got to say,
I've not fact checked it, but
I'm saying who said it.
Aye,
it wasn't me. I've just repeated it. Just willing to spread the rumour. That's all.
Yeah, let's okay. Let's go with that. Right, let's go into the talking points because time's marching on. Right, first one that we've got is from Ian T. Not specific to the game yesterday. Says right after Darville, were Hibs on fire for El Sacchio and or Aberdeen running on empty, stroke floored? Why were we incapable of putting a run together? Injuries, lack of quality, lack of character. What are the signposts to the future we need to heed? Quite a lot going on with that question.
Okay, has Ian? Okay, Ian just said 3 questions in there. It sounds like there's a few wrapped into that.
So basically, I think what he's asking is, was the Aberdeen game a freak? And are we good enough to put results like that together?
Well, how often do you go and win a game 6-0? They always fake results.
True.
How many teams, other than Celtic, who's won by that margin more than once or twice this season? Nobody.
Nah, nobody.
So of course they're freak. They're freak for anybody apart from Celtic. And maybe Rangers, but even that, I think Rangers have really gave anybody a serious doing like that this year. So, yes, it's a freak. I can't remember what happened after the Aberdeen game. Did we go on a losing run after that? Like, or did we have was that not a point when we did go on a wee run?
I think we might have lost the game after it.
Did we? Because it was El Sakiko, as we said, and we won it, and he didn't lose his job. I thought maybe we went on a run after that, but anyway, I think
look it up later.
Well, it's funny. I was listening to Mikey Stewart on Sports Scene today, though, and they were saying about Hibs season, and he said it's inconsistent. Inconsistent. That's how you describe it, and I don't disagree with him.
Aye.
But then he goes, but they're only 1 point behind Hearts now, and I thought, well, so if you're 1 point behind a team and you've been inconsistent, what have they been? Because they must have fucking lost about similar amount of games, eh?
Aye.
They've drew one more game than us. That must be, well, probably not. That's simple maths, eh? But there'll be more complicated maths than that. But they've effectively picked one more point up than us. So they're inconsistent, I know, eh? Aberdeen's got 6 more points. I wouldn't say that means they're not inconsistent either. Everyone's inconsistent in this league.
I know. Kind of.
I just try and pin it on us.
Aye. I don't know if we're hoping for a Rangers win the day to keep that gap at 6 points. I don't think we'll do it.
Well, we'd want them to win today, as much as it's hard to say, and then it ends down to next week, innit? And then we get the 3 points. But if we could turn that over,
imagine that. Like, and you wouldn't say we were out of it. 3 points to go with 3 games, or 3 points behind with 3 games to go.
But then we do have Rangers and Celtic in those 3, and Hearts away. So it is the hardest, probably 3 games.
Aye. Right, Kowalski, 1875, asked subs, where the fuck were the subs? Only man in the stadium that didn't want to make subs. We needed fresh legs long before Miller came on, in my humble opinion.
We were saying the same, because it obviously got Campbell on out of necessity in, 20-30 minutes, whatever it was. And then we were saying the same, wasn't it? And then did they bring on 2 subs in like injury time? They brought Hopper on as well, didn't they?
Aye, Hopper came on just there on the clock down, really.
And Miller came on in 89. I think Hoppy came on in 91 or something. It was like proper time wasting stuff. But maybe we could have done with fresh legs. But then in another way, then if you make a change and then yell at another, when you're at a position like that, then he gets criticised for making a change when we're in a winning position and not hanging on to it. So
aye. I thought it was interesting. He said, obviously, no Tavares on the bench at all. Like, no. He wasn't there. McCurdy on the bench, no used. And we'll talk a wee bit about McCurdy later on because there's a couple of talking points about him. Like, Hoppy only coming in, no to do anything.
Was Kukarevich on the bench?
No, I think he's carrying an oct now.
Another one, fuck me.
I think you got Rocky, but you're not bringing Rocky into that game. If you've got Fish and Hanlon doing fine at centre half, so you're no disrupting that.
Yeah.
Miller for Cadden is probably the obvious one. It could be made a bit earlier because I think Cadden was sort of gassing by the end of it because he put in a proper shift.
Yeah.
But listen, we won, so you can't really say it was wrong. What he did, whatever he did, it worked. So we'll take it. Paul McQueenie said 3 points is all that matters at this stage. Great start to the game. Just wish we could continue that throughout the game with that same purpose.
Aye, well, we were saying that with Greg, it's like Greg was saying to Sam actually that rarely do we have a 90-minute performance. And he was saying, is it a fitness thing and that? And I said, no, really, because sometimes it could be the second half when we play well. But we just seem to struggle to string two halves together.
Do you think that's down to right? So if I take yesterday's game as an example, you had first half we were excellent, second half St Mirren changed things a bit, and they definitely played better in the second half. Like there was a bit more purpose about St Mirren's play. They were a bit more aggressive, a bit more. They had a bit more intent with their attacking play. So they just went after the game a bit more. Do you think it's because Johnson was like, we've done well that first half, so we didn't need to change it, and then he doesn't react to the change in the game. So you have like then St Mirren are on top for most of the second half. But then that doesn't really answer it for like if we have a shite first half but a good second half. But then that's maybe Johnson goes in and says you've been shite and I know we need to change it. It's maybe that dilemma. Like, do you change it when you're doing well and to react to what the opponent's doing, or do you back what you're doing because it's working?
I know, that's the thing. It is funny with subs though. I'll come back to the subs point, and I don't know if it links in because he's often been so early in the season. He took Hanlon off early doors. Was it Rangers maybe?
Yeah.
And he's never done that again since. Good, because that generally means you set up wrong or you've really started badly, one of the two or both. But then some of the subs have been too late other times.
Yeah.
You know, like McGuinness getting sent off before he should have been subbed before it. And then you've got, I think, Rangers game when we were about 2-0 down, he was bringing Nisbet and Kukarevich on. And while they were standing waiting to come on, Rangers scored like at least one more goal. The game was done. And that's happened another time that I can't quite remember now. So it's like he has been a bit funny with his subs. I was going to say erratic there, but once he's done an early one, other times it's almost like it feels like he's reacting late rather than anticipating something. And I guess remember he got away with it yesterday then because he didn't. Otherwise, we went down to 2-2 and went. That would have been uproar about not making the subs in.
Correct. Yeah, that's it.
Saying he's late in reacting, but because we never lost that goal, we're defending it.
Aye. Whisky, I bet you probably something Lee Johnson would like to kind of answer to himself, though, because he would get frustrated only getting 45 minutes out of the team. Whisky Craig said Doyle Hayes was excellent until he was forced off. Will Fish solid, sign him up. Marshall's distribution was poor. Give Stevenson an infinity contract, and Yuan is getting better every week. His tracking back today was spot on, and the link-up play with Newell was excellent.
I agree with most of that. Doyle Hayes was good. I can't remember him being excellent, but I mean he was good, and I think we maybe lost a bit when we went off. I agree with the other stuff. Marshall, well, he booted the boy to part one, so I'm not sure about the rest of it either. But I mean, I think I've said before, and I've said it over before Marshall was here. His goalie's distribution's not that good.
Yeah.
I think we got excited about his distribution, didn't we? Like everybody got excited about it, and it's
masking a lot. It was brilliant.
It was, aye. And it's masking a wee bit of his other deficiencies. And I think I'll stick with my guns here that I'd rather have a goalie that makes saves than is brilliant at passing the ball. That would be the balance if I've got to pick.
Aye, I would agree.
That's what I'm going to pick. But it seems like we've got, I don't know, it must be the Hibs way or something. It's about the goalie needs to be able to be good at passing, and we'll take that. He doesn't make that many saves.
Well, Fish, I don't know, there was like an interview with him in the paper this week. So I think he maybe did the press conference pre-match, and he sort of made noises that sounded like he'd quite like to come back. Do you think there's any chance of us keeping him for another season?
It'll depend on Man United. I'm not sure how long he's signed up with them and what their plan for him, what their development plan is. You know, it depends if we're in Europe maybe, then they might say, oh, well, it's worth it till the Christmas when they get packed out in August to give him that couple of months. I don't know. I would have thought, based on history, these clubs, they generally didn't want you here too long. You know, Brandon Barker and even Patrick Roberts at Celtic, you know, Man City were wanting him moved on to Celtic. It was him that was making the noises about staying, and that's held him back. You know, he's ended up at Sunderland, you know, like just kicking about League One and Championship now. But I think that these big Premier League teams' progression plan is do 6 months a year in the Premier League, and then we'll move you on to the Championship. So I wouldn't expect Will Fish to say he wants to go either, because he'll want to keep his options open.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect that he'll be wanting to stay. However, I would like to mention these tracksuit bottoms. What the fuck were they? And when he was doing his interview with Barry in the street after that.
He's obviously come out the shower, chucked them on, and do you know sometimes if you're not quite dried yourself properly, like your clothes will stick to you. But I think that's what's happened with one of his legs, isn't it?
Cat dies, we called him. Cat dies when we were at school. Fucking 2V for him.
Aye, don't know if they've shared the photo of that on our Twitter.
Everybody can see it.
It's probably the same with Egan Riley as well, who I thought was excellent yesterday. But the same situation, like we might be able to keep him, but probably not, because Burnley will decide what they want to do. But I don't see.
Well, they got promoted though, so
aye,
you know, for that point of view, they might not want him in the Premier League. They might want to put him into the Championship, but then get him ready for when they come back down next year.
Aye. And I suppose it depends where the clubs see the long-term future for these players, because Man United will be looking at him going, he's no Will Fish isn't a top 4 Premiership defender. I wouldn't say, like, he's not at the level of Van Dijk, or again, Van Dijk's the extreme.
But Van Dijk had to come through Scotland, to get to there.
But he didn't stay in Scotland too long, did he?
No, but that's what I mean.
Aye.
That's the plan, though, isn't it? It's like that's how they do it. He came to Celtic, then his year, went to Southampton, done a year or two, and then he's at Liverpool.
Aye.
And that's kind of what they would probably try and do, but they wouldn't want him in Scotland too long, because they wouldn't want to be paying a wage to somebody they're not getting any benefit out of it. So they want him to develop quickly. So it's like, go there, develop, get a game, play well, right? Championship, do well there, and then they might even loan them out to a lower end of their own league.
Aye. El Gordo Mexicano said, sleepwalking second half and Johnson scared stiff to get fresh legs on. Many waiting expectantly on an equaliser going in. Positives definitely being coming out from the start with energy, purpose and appetite. Enough to win most games in SPL, but distinctly lacking in a lot of Hibs games.
Another positive is no losing that equaliser that many were expecting.
Yeah, that's true. I had the feel of a game that was going to go that way in a way.
But it wasn't like they had that many chances, though.
Nah,
like, really, when you look at it back, you think, I think a lot of people were going, we've got to lose another goal here. But actually, it wasn't like we were getting bombarded, like we have in the past with teams like St Mirren and St Johnstone, when we've had 2-2s in the last minute.
Aye.
Didn't feel like they weren't pinging loads of balls in the box and we were struggling to deal with it and scrapping about, really.
Aye.
So,
maybe
expecting it, but it wasn't because anything was on the pitch that was expecting it, was it?
I don't know, because Marshall had a couple of saves to make. There was a boy had a shot in the box that kind of the side net and kind of went near post. I had a few crosses in that in the box, but we dealt with the crosses pretty well. Like Fish and Hanlon were
Marshall never had any saves to make.
Yeah. The point that he makes there about the energy, purpose, and appetite for the start and being enough to win most games in the SPL is spot on. Like, see the amount of times that, like, you've seen it, like, if a team comes out the traps fast and can get a couple of early goals, that's it, the game's done. The very few teams in the league come back from a 2-0, or, you know, if you can get a third, because we could have got a third easy there, and the game's done.
It's done, I agree. I'd say that just for half time, because you have a third here, and then that's it. Pressure off, because 2-0, so it's a funny one. It's that funny scoreline, eh?
Aye.
I seen what's his name, Pep, moaning about it yesterday, because Haaland didn't take a penalty at 2-0 because the other boy was on a hat trick and they missed it, and then Leeds went up and scored, and so then they were flapping a wee bit. I've not seen it, but that's the way I read it, and it's just a funny scoreline, because 2-1 you go, fuck, you thought the game was won and you've almost switched off, and actually then they've got their tails up.
Aye. It's a really funny one, because you think you didn't feel the same at 1-0. Like 1-0, you're always like, you're never safe at 1-0. But the amount of times you get the second goal, you think that should be it safe, but it very rarely is. Well, it feels like it very rarely is, but there must be loads of examples of teams winning 2-0.
It's just that feeling, isn't it?
Aye.
Perception.
Elston Loon says still can't work out how Cadden missed the opportunity for Nisbet's cross. Aye, covered that, but yep, should definitely be sticking that one away. Charlie McGrew.
Striker, eh?
Aye. Charlie McGrew thinks she made that up, says, can we name a stand after Lee Johnson? If you want.
What one?
We need a wee stander.
Oh, the wee Falkirk ones.
The dugout. You can have that in the dugout, just have the Lee Johnson stand. Yeah, Fesley, if you're listening.
It's probably the same height as me, That's fine.
And also, Charlie McGrew thinks you made that up, says, and a distinct lack of this, which is, would it be too much to ask for the crowd to simultaneously chant "Big Fish, Will Fish" in the box while doing the below arm movements? Do you know?
I'm not for that.
That's, if you're watching that, I was doing them. I can't really describe it, but you know the dance moves for that. Yes, it is too much to ask, is the answer to that one. I think you're being unreasonable there to expect us to choreograph dance moves along with chants.
It's too much for average football fans.
I don't think it's ever happened before. Like, can you think any instances where we've had a dance to go along with a chant?
Hibs bounce.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
Aye, but it's not a complex bit of choreography. Although if you do the arm bit in that, then because sometimes arms go away when you're doing it.
Right, block 7, if you're listening, let's show you. See if you
Saturday
can
night. Do the Saturday night dance to the David Marshall song. Do the actual hug, mind that.
Aye, you can have that. But if you can get the Big Fish, Will Fish in a box dance going for the next home game, we'll get it on video and we'll put it on Twitter and that. Right, I'll not be joining in though, not up in the West Stand. I would be on mine, but there is literally nobody up there that would do that. Literally nobody. Josh might actually.
I was going to say Josh is of age.
Aye, he's at that age. Right, Gaz on Safari said should have had the game put to bed after an excellent first half. Credit to St Mirren though. They're in the top 6 on merit and fought hard to get back in the game. Thought it was an entertaining game and excellent 3 points for the Cabbage. I think that's like a very balanced and accurate reflection on things, guys. You've done well with that tweet. I would read it again. Yes, well done. 15 out of 15. Son on Leith said it looked like 2 different Hibs teams. Great first half. Where the fuck did the other team go second half?
I think sometimes you've got to give credit to the other team as well. I don't think St Mirren are a bad side.
No.
Some good players.
Yeah, St Mirren have had a good season. I don't think we were strong favourites for that game. In fact, St Mirren started ahead of us. Aye. They were ahead of us on goals, were they? Goal difference? Or were we ahead of them?
I think we were ahead of them, but either way, we were level on points.
Aye.
Which is, so I think we've had the similar season to them. Inconsistent.
Yeah. Aye. It'd be good to get the good team out both halves. Joe Donohoe said Nisbet's miss with the wee face palm smiley.
Wasn't he great? He's got to on target,
Was Nisbet's Nisbet's miss worse than Michael Moll's misses?
I'm not commenting on that kind of stuff.
Who knows? Right, Charlie says, do you think the abuse Harry McCurdy gets is justified? Always found it frustrating that we seem to get on players' backs when they're not scoring, etc. So, just before you answer that one, Paul Wood replied and said, I think he clearly deserves abuse. Get him out the club. Worst player this season by a mile. And he shared an Instagram post that McCurdy put up, which had Chelsea, Nina, Golf, Hibs, and a picture of a bench, right, which I think he's then since edited. But I think that's a reference to Gareth Bale, who had I mean, if it was like Wales, golf, whatever.
Aye. So what I took for that is, I take it he's edited it because Nina's booted his arse.
Maybe.
He said, how a man ahead of Chelsea.
Maybe.
Was that the edit?
No. Chelsea stayed first.
All right. They know it'll be fucking raging.
The reference to Hibs, because it actually ended up with Hibs off the list altogether.
Right.
Right.
Oh, right. Is that a good thing or what? Is that the worst? Looks so we're on it.
I don't know, but he's taking the picture of the bench down. I think anyway, last I looked. Right, so there's a bit of wider context to this as well, because McCurdy had a altercation with a fan in the famous Five before the game. So I'm only really in what I've read on this side. I have to kind of hold my hands up and say, because we were in eating and drinking at the time, I didn't witness any of this, but apparently in the warm-up he's fired a shot way over the bar, shooting at the goal without the net behind it, I think. It's hit a young fan.
It's always dodgy in there. I used to sit in there before they put the nets up, and it was like, my daughter was young at the time, and I was always on edge, like to get my arm in the road to block them.
You kind of, there's a risk there, don't you? Like there's a bit of responsibility there, just to kind of know that, especially with strikers and that, and the warm-ups. Like we've commented on it before.
Missed.
Aye, they sky them a lot. From what I read, he went to apologise, but the person didn't think the apology was enough, and they kept going, and then McCurdy had to get pulled back over to apologise again, and a bit of argy-bargy kind of carried on. And then later on, and I didn't notice this at the time as well, but when Hoppy got sent on as a sub, McCurdy just kind of went, fuck this, and went straight down the tunnel.
Right.
And then he's obviously gone on to social media. So I think it's evident there's a bit of frustration from McCurdy that he's no featuring.
Is that not a good thing? Is that not seen as a good thing sometimes?
Well, generally, right, so
players get frustrated they're not getting a game in that. That's like good. He's motivated to do well. He wants to play in that. Is that not seen as a good thing?
Generally, but I think there's also the flip side is like you there's a time and place to show it, and there's the thing about put the team first, right? So the team before the individual, in which case you just have to suck these decisions up sometimes. And then there's a bit about how you interact with the supporters as well. But I think also the support need to be aware of how they interact with the players. Like it's a two-way street.
You say support. Well, we're calling support here, but we're talking about not supporting somebody.
Yeah, that's it. So I think first question then is the abuse justified? And I suppose my question is abuse ever justified to the players?
Well, not if you're supporting them. Constructive criticism is different from abuse, isn't it? So, I don't care if anybody's seen enough of him to say he's shite. Like, I don't think he's anywhere near the team for what I've seen. But I'm not like, I'll remain Switzerland on it until I don't think I've not seen enough of him to say he's good or shite. I've just don't think he's near the team now. You know what I mean? Because Nisbet and
there's better players ahead of him.
They've all been better than him.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it's abuse. I think it was like the hype and the excitement of Sky Sports News deadline day midnight signing. But we're desperate for him to sign, and they're disappointed. So they're taking out on him.
I think it's a tough one. I don't think it's something I would do. Right? I always find it difficult to abuse Hibs players. Right? I think it's just like kind of ingrained in me. Like they put the green jersey on, and I think I'll give him my back. And I didn't.
Natural reactions to defend them, innit?
Correct.
Like normally, well, it's mine. I don't know if it's your age. Then I don't know if it's a younger person's. I don't know.
But then like there is a thing like so you take. And I'll use the example of Matt Docherty when he was disrespectful about the club, kind of post-cup final, and everybody was like, "What a fucking dickhead!" And there's no love for Matt Docherty for the Hibs support.
But he wasn't a Hibs player when that happened because he left. He was away back.
Aye,
that was his last game.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, nobody was abusing him before that. I suppose.
Yeah, the ones you might have is Ian Murray or Gary Caldwell because they signed to leave for free.
Yeah, pre-contracts.
But other than that, and then obviously Jimmy Scott got a rocket last year as well.
Aye.
But he didn't fight back, I guess. He did it on the pitch because he scored a hat-trick the week after, didn't he?
Aye, he did. So maybe get McCurdy in the team for next week for the hat-trick. But I think it's a difficult one because I think as a supporter, you want players that are totally committed and you think they're giving everything for the club, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously you want that, right? Because we all pay our season ticket money. We're all emotionally invested in the club and that, and you didn't like to think anybody I suppose no thinking the clubs means as much to them as it does to us. That's kind of the ideal, isn't it? They go in and they buy into the club like that. And when somebody doesn't hit those heights, you can see why the frustration comes out. I don't know enough about the story with the fan to really kind of comment on that, to what happened. But the Instagram post, I really bother my arse about that. Like, I think sometimes we're all oversensitive to these things. Like, I think if you take a step back and you go, what's the big fucking deal? Like, he's moaning about being on the bench and not getting a game. I would probably want to moan about it. Like, and I kind of like to say about the time and place, but if that's your job and you're not getting to do it, and you maybe think you've had, like, he's maybe had a great week in training, he's maybe had a conversation with Lee Johnson before, he's maybe been promised a wee bit of game time that's not happened, and he's frustrated. Like, you didn't really know the context behind it.
We've had numerous people complaining that we never made subs already, right? So he's maybe sitting thinking the same.
Aye, well, that's it. Maybe thought he could have went on and make a difference. I don't think a player chooses to be shite, which is the other thing, right? So even if you think you have seen enough from him and you think he's not good enough, you maybe go back to, like, when Josh Fowler came up and really struggled. Like, he just didn't settle. He didn't. I think he missed. He got homesick and all the rest of it. He was awful at Hibs. He's a good player. Wrong club, wrong time. And it didn't work out. Joey Barton at Rangers is probably another one. Like, if you wanted to pick another example of a player that didn't, I mean, Joey Barton wasn't a bad player. He was shite at Rangers, and Rangers fans will talk highly of him. The rest of Scottish football will go, Joey Barton.
But it's all the hype around it as well, and the hype building, and we built this boy up. We built this boy up as he's going to be a maverick, and well, is that no being a maverick? What he done yesterday?
Aye, maybe. So I don't.
It's worried that maybe a Maverick slagging off Hearts or something. No, actually being pissed off that he's not getting a game.
Aye.
So what type of Maverick are we wanting?
No causing us hassle. So
what Maverick most suggests is just got to be a total fucking rocket. Like,
aye.
And we've just got. That's what we've got. That's what we wanted. We wanted a rocket. We wanted a Maverick. We've got one.
Aye. So I think, like, my own opinion is that, like, I don't find it justifiable to give players abuse, and I think it makes the recovery more difficult. Like, if a player's going to turn it around at Hibs, abusing them is not going to help them to do that back in them and getting behind them. You maybe want the club to go and sit them down and say, by the way, what the fuck are you doing? Didn't he do that?
His first Instagram post, was it? Did you know they sat earlier in the
yeah, he mentioned about somebody says, get yourself back down the road, and he went, you're not joking, pal, or something like that.
Oh, he replied to a Swindon fan or something.
It was like that kind of comment, and that caused a bit of uproar. So, I mean, maybe it's like that fits in with the fine structure at the club or whatever, kind of, if you do something like that, like no turning up for a sponsors event or making fucking stupid social media ones. So you deal with that in-house and hope he stops it. I think he'll probably move on in the summer. I think for him, he's probably not happy. He's not playing. We're not going to miss him if he goes.
Yeah. But we don't know if we will, because we're certainly not miss him based on what we've seen already.
Right, that's it. And because he's not playing, like, you didn't miss what you've not got.
Yeah.
So if he was to move on, I think we would just kind of write it off as something that didn't work out.
Didn't get too excited about the fucking deadline day signings, eh? Like, let's stop all that shit. Let's stop complying with Sky Sports' fucking policy.
Things to be enthusiastic about. Yeah. Aye, but he has a bit of responsibility as well. Like, he kind of needs to recognise the position he's in and do better. But I'm sure he does. Like I said, I'm sure he's not trying to be shite. Like, he's not trying to no get game time, and he's probably just
maybe it's maybe just too hard for him. It's maybe just could be anything. Maybe he's not good enough for this level. Maybe he came up underestimating it, because the English tend to do that. Like, we've heard people that have came up and done well say that, it's better than I thought it was.
Aye.
As well. When Joe Neal said it, Mark Bartley, they've all come up and said they basically thought Scottish football was shit until they played here. And maybe McCurdy's there and thinking, he come up thinking it was going to be easy and it wasn't, or he's not good enough. Yeah.
Okay, right. Stuart said we lost it a bit after Jake Doyle-Hayes went off. Is he one of our most important players in the position he's playing at the moment?
Well, he's been playing well. I don't know if it's one of the most important. He's good. He can be good. He's not always good though.
It's the consistency thing with Doyle-Hayes, but he's not really had like a long run in the team either to show the consistency. Which is a shame for him. Like, he's definitely
last year, and like, he had a long run last year, and folk were saying we can't play them in midfield together.
Correct. That's right. So I don't know if he is one of the most important players, but that's maybe just indicative of the team now. That I don't know how many most important players we have.
I know. Nisbet
You would
at the
pick
moment probably, and Ewan's been and in the defence, the two centre halves.
Yeah. Parma Ham Ash Spider was struggling in the second half. I think we could have covered that. And the last one we've got is from Harry Fisher. And he's quoting Lee Johnson here. He said he's had to up his gravitas levels for this level. Lee Johnson about Will Fish. What a pile of keek man. This man talks. Jeez. What do you think he means by that, Colin? He's had to up his gravitas levels for this level.
I've got no idea. No idea. But Harry's an author, eh? I've got a couple of his books on my wish list. I've got to get them, read them on my holiday, I think.
He is indeed, yeah. He is indeed. So if anybody knows about language,
that's it.
Being
Harry,
able
you
to
tell us, mate. You write books on that.
Interpret things.
Just testing us out.
Aye. Aye. I think Lee Johnson quite often invents words and sort of uses words that sound like they maybe are right for the sentence, but when you look at them, you go, "That's the wrong word you've used there."
It's because he says so many words.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like limit. Like it's the too long didn't read. Sort of style. He says that much stuff. That it's like you've probably worked with folk like that before, and you've got to sit and go pick out the important bits. Like you've got to sit and go, right, there's one. Take that away and work with that. I'll do that. Because I wonder what he's like with the players. Because I can't imagine them if he's like that. What he's like in the press conferences and all of that. If he's like that in the dressing room, they must be going. Oh man, I've got a sauna book this afternoon. I'm going home to watch the racing on the telly. I've got the bookies, so whatever it is the day in the afternoons now.
Aye.
They must be going, hurry up. That's 12 o'clock, man. Hurry up.
Maybe that's why the half-time team talk doesn't work, eh? He's finished it for a start. They've just switched off the film.
And he comes out and tells the fourth official the rest of it.
Aye.
For 45 minutes.
Right, I thought that was actually a couple of late ones, Colin. We'll just skip through these and then we'll get on to extra time. So Stephen Bell said, there was me thinking Longbangers was the podcast and the voice for the working class and the Hibs support. Such a shame to see it join the prawn and cucumber sandwich brigade.
None of them yesterday.
So sorry about that, Stephen. We'll be back in the cheap seats next week or the week after, whenever we play next.
Prawn and cucumber in the West Stand, but that's not what they serve. I mean, it's braised pork or something. I can't remember what it was.
Correct. Nick Heller, referring to the Campbell incident, he says, in fairness, I wasn't calling for it one at the time for a penalty, but cliche alert, anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul. Correct. And Davy Fallon says, does LJ have any faith at all on his bench? He failed to make an unenforced change until the 90th minute yesterday, despite fresh legs being needed, in my opinion, on the park earlier. We kind of spoke about that as well. There's a couple of tweets about McCurdy getting justified abuse because he's social media.
But the abuse was before the post, wasn't it?
But for hitting the fan, aye, that was. But then the rest of it came afterwards.
Right.
Okay. Right. Extra time. So you will be listening to this if you're not a subscriber at the earliest on Monday evening. Might put it out Monday morning, Colin, since we've recorded early, and the subscribers will have it in the next hour. Mm-hmm. So Monday, you'll be listening to this if you're not a subscriber, probably with some adverts. Sorry about that.
I'm starting to listen on the Monday bank holiday.
Correct.
While they're off, everybody's off their work.
Aye. But if you're a subscriber, you'll get extra time on Wednesday. Extra time, we're going to talk about the director of football appointment. So Hibs announced the director of football this week. Brian McDermott has come in, so we're going to talk a wee bit about what we know about Brian already. He was interviewed pre-match. He stood up in hospitality, so we'll give some thoughts on that. We will also, we have one of our colleagues, Riz Harkis, who runs a football consultancy business, who's offered to come in and talk about what he thinks the director of football role is and how Brian McDermott matches up. So we'll keep that for a later episode, but we'll give our initial thoughts on the appointment in extra time. So if you want to listen to that, we'll make it available. You can buy it on its own. If you like, again, you can pay a couple of quid and you can pick up the episode. Or if you're a subscriber, you get that included as part of your package. And if you want to subscribe, just go to our Twitter profile and click the wee Hubwave link, and that'll take you there. You can subscribe for all our content, which includes short bangers, or if you only want the Hibs stuff, you can pick a cheaper tier and just get the Longbanger stuff. Right, Colin, thanks very much for that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sending your talking points, folks. And once again, thanks to Greg and everybody at Whisky Row for their hospitality yesterday. And we'll see you next time. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.